All right, and here we are, folks. It is the MLB DFS strategy show for Saturday, September 14th. Enjoy your last palindrome week of the century. Jake, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Had some pretty decent MLB teams last night, but didn't quite break through. I don't know, man. It's Saturday morning. Football's tomorrow. Well, football's today, depending on what your take is on college football. I'm not a big college football guy, but I don't know. Are you?
I root for my University of Washington Huskies, who last week were supposed to kick off at 10:30 Eastern, and they did, and they played about 8 snaps, and then they had approximately a 3-hour weather delay. Because anytime there's lightning within 8 miles of the stadium or the field or wherever you're playing, NCAA rules are you have to wait a half an hour. Now we don't get lightning's not uncommon in Seattle, but it's not. You don't expect, oh, this is going to be a lightning storm. And there was one that just sat right over the stadium, close enough that it kept pushing it back, and they lost by one. They were ranked number 12 in the nation. They were favored by, I don't know, 14 and a half points in that game, and they lost by one.
That sounds like a fun time.
I'm so glad I did not stay up to watch. I actually looked at my phone at about midnight and I said, "Oh, this is weird. Why is why is the game not advanced from when I went to bed?" Because I happened to watch the first 5 or 6 plays and I thought, "Oh, they look pretty good. This will be a rout." Nope. Not at all. So I went back up, deleted my recording, started a new one, but extended it like 3 hours. And then I saw the score and I'm like, yeah, I don't need to watch this one. Oh, but there we are. There we are. All right. We're letting a few stragglers work their way in here, but we will get going here because we've got multiple shows today. We have at 11 o'clock the Yahoo NFL strategy show. At 2 o'clock, we have On the Contrary. That will be Chris Spags, Alex Osimo Baker, and wait for it, Lord Reeves. Yes, one Rich Rebar coming in to fill the guest slot. That is going to be the revolving door, there, the revolving chair, if you will, on the contrary. So you can get different people coming in and talking to Alex and seeing what their takes are, what his takes are, and how they're going to approach the week. Last one was pretty fun. It was Petty Theft 89. That would be Travis Petty, who is a longtime DFSer. And if you recognize the name Petty Theft, you know that he has been picking our pockets for quite some time at the top of the leaderboards. Look at that, Jake. The wordplay in already. Love it.
That was smooth. That was smooth. I like it.
It was. Let's see. Shout out to one Dan Strafford there for covering for me on the podcast. Been down a little bit with the flu. I was telling Jake before the broadcast, 13 hours of sleep, 12 hours of sleep. Last night, 7.5. I don't know what happened. My Fitbit did not recognize me and wouldn't give me a sleep score for that second day. It's like, no. You don't sleep this much. What's going on? I try to get 8 hours. I usually fail miserably. I get about 6.5 to 7.
That's I think that's all right. I think that's like, I don't think you're gonna be unhealthy getting 6.5, 7. It depends on your age too. I can't remember how it goes, whether you need more as you get older or less. I don't know. But
I think when you get older, you go to bed way earlier, but you get up way earlier.
Right.
And then naps are involved because theoretically you're retired. I'm not retired. I'm not quite old. I am your old pal, Emac. That is an apostrophe, not a D.
Not a D. Not a D. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into the slate. We got enough people creeping in here. We, of course, will turn this into a podcast form. We will be out of here by 11 so we can start that Yahoo NFL strategy show. Again, Yahoo, the $1 Million Baller. This week, a little bit of a twist. $20. Last week it was $25. 150 max. Now, we love that they do 10 max and have done so forever. This is the first time they've gone over that. What they haven't done is created CSV upload. So they overlaid pretty heavily last week, and I think they may again this week, but you are going to need to hand enter those lineups. Adam has already said he is doing 150.
Yeah.
He told me that on the Early Bird podcast.
So, yeah, I talked to Adam about that. He said 150. He said it on a number of shows. what's your plan of attack? Because I don't. So I've got a weird situation tomorrow. I'm not going to be around from like the 2 hours leading up until lock. So I could build my lineups and I'll have my phone, but I don't know what the best plan of attack is. Just like wake up and build them tomorrow morning. I don't know that we're waiting on anybody huge on the slate for like questionable tags or anything like that. So I think he'd probably be okay. It's not optimal, of course, but what's your plan of attack? How many lineups do you think you're putting into that?
I haven't decided yet. So here's sort of my take. I did not do well last week. I played my 10. I did not cash a single one. Very sad. That usually doesn't happen, but
Yeah.
hey, it did, especially with all that overlay. But full transparency here. Last year I had two really good weekends in that show. One of them I won for $500, and the other I won 1,200. And that was why I was writing the article. So very helpful. And most of the weeks I at least cashed a little bit to make it worthwhile. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I suspect I will play 10. That is kind of my strategy. I will probably be building them tomorrow morning, and I will leave that as the site where I'm going to play more volume. Generally, I play on DraftKings, but I've got the CSV upload, and I'll work on that stuff today. But tomorrow, I'm kind of going to play it a little bit by ear. Now, they do have a whole bunch of other contests that are 10 entry max. I will likely enter those. That was one of the things I really liked about Yahoo is the 10 entry max. I'm okay with it being 150 because it's just this tournament. It's a special tournament, and it's to draw in additional gamers. No problem with that whatsoever. I will be sad if they open this up to other contests. I will be a little bit sad if they open it to other contests and add CSV. Then they're just going to be like everybody else. But I think with their season-long people still, they have the largest database of existing players that they can convert over. And it's not even close to anything DraftKings or FanDuel have said. So I'd like to see them continue to bring people over. They may have bitten off more than they thought this year with this program, but that's okay. I don't want them to stop doing this. So if it needs to be 150, that's fine. Again, I don't like the CSV. The other thing they're doing, which I applaud, and I've already sent them some messages, but they're doing best ball drafts, but it's going to be from week 5 to week 12. So that
Cool.
8-week, 6-week stretch, whatever it is. My math is escaping me here a little bit. The one thing I'm going to mention to them is that's nice and that's fine for the first one, but I don't want to draft any right now because the attrition rate, the injury risk is just so damn high. What I would like to see them do is say, hey, we're going to do best ball drafts. We're going to start them up again in week 5, and then it's do 5 to 12, 6 to 13, 7 to 14, and continually do them because I'll draft several each week, and that way, if anybody gets hurt, you won't be at a disadvantage going into it. I just feel that if I draft somebody now, it's kind of silly, but that's just my take.
Right. I mean, look, Yahoo's trying, like they're listening and they're trying new stuff, and you should reward them for that. And also, it's easier to make money on Yahoo than these other sites, FanDuel and DraftKings specifically. So, like, there's no reason you shouldn't be starting playing on break-free tournaments wherever you can find them. And Yahoo is offering a really awesome one. I wish they would have maybe gone to like 20 max or 50 max or something. Just because I know some people will 150, so I know I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. But I mean, I would have I'm glad they have at least one tournament that's more than 10 max. So they're drawing more people in, like you said. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love what they're doing. So
yeah, and that's fine. And yeah, I mean, 50 would have been a nice little stepping stone, but I'm sure they were having to explain, yeah, we thought we were going to fill this. We had this posted for nearly a month, and it only got 70% of the way full. We can't keep doing that. So
for sure.
We'll see. Yeah. But at least they're sort of being flexible and trying to do things rather than, let's just point to DraftKings creating all these one-off little mini sports like MLS, any sort of soccer, NASCAR, whatever, WNBA, big to do. We're launching whatever, and then they shit can it the next week.
Yeah,
it's like, really, thank you, $2,000 GPP for this. Why would I even bother playing any new sport on your site? So at least Yahoo is being a little more thoughtful with this, and they've seen some of the errors that missteps the other sites have made. They've also seen their successes too.
For sure.
No difference there. All right, let's get into the games. Before, a mucked up early slate. So there's a doubleheader I don't believe this one is on any slate here. We've got the Twins and Cleveland, who were rained out last night, so they're going to start at 1 o'clock. Everybody else is starting their slates. I haven't looked to see if they've spawned some 1 o'clock games yet. Singles showdown, we're not going to worry about that. But for the 2, 3, 4, and 6 o'clock games, everybody's doing the 2, 3, and 4 games as their early slate. So starting off there, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates at the Chicago Cubs. You've got James Marvel coming in, going against Kyle Hendricks. We do have a implied run totals here. We did not last night when we did the Early Bird podcast. Marvel is coming facing down a 6.1 implied run total. Hendricks on the other side, just a 4 implied run total. Hendricks, very, very, very good real life pitcher. Wish he was on my team, actually. Fantasy pitcher, well, the strikeouts aren't always there. This is going to be an interesting way to build. If you're on the two pitcher sites, I think you want to take a long look at James Marvel. This is particularly on DraftKings at 4,700. We talk about price per pitch, or I do anyways. It looks like he should be in line for 85 to 90 pitches. Is that good or bad? Well, hell, he's facing a team that has a 6 implied run total, but we got to play two pitchers, and we need some bats, and I really don't feel good about Jacob Wagsback. So, what do you want to do with this first game, Jake?
No, yeah, I was just going to bring up Wagsback and saying that I prefer Marvel over Wagsback. If you're going to one of these guys, I would like to play neither of them, but I don't think that that's realistic on a 3-game early slate where you've got 3 teams with over 5.5 applied totals, and they're priced up a little bit. So it's going to be tough to get away from Marvel a little bit, at least in my non-Cub stacks. I'd probably be okay playing a bat against my pitcher on the slate because just the pitching isn't good outside of Paxton, but he's overpriced too. So yeah, I think Marvel is in play. That being said, I think you should also give the Cubs a long look. They're probably the one team that is going to go pretty heavily over owned in the top stack tool. That doesn't mean you shouldn't play them. They're just really good value for their 6.1 total. I really love Bryant and Castellanos stick out to me outside of the lefties, Schwarber and Rizzo. So just a really deep lineup for the Cubs. But if Marvel can limit the damage, he's going to pay off in a big way for 4,700.
All right. Let's see. On the other side, anybody you'd be interested in going against? Know that Starling Marte has been dealing with a sore wrist. He hasn't played. Let me rephrase that. He has not taken an at bat in about 5 games. He has played twice. And then I thought, of course. Cubbies in the mix there for the playoffs. Every run counts here.
I mean, I'd almost like you need to give Hendricks at least a look here if Marte and Bell, who are both questionable, are out of the lineup. I know it's not a good strikeout match, but just as a pivot and saving some cash from Paxton, I think Hendricks is okay, even though the price is way too high against Pittsburgh. But with it being only a 3-game slate, you don't really have many options. So I actually might get some Hendricks. If Bell's in the lineup, he would be the one guy I think I'd be okay actively targeting against Hendricks. He's just too cheap, 4,300 for Bell. So that's really about it.
All right. Hooking us up there. I can't, it's me, and I'm still dealing with the remnants of the flu, so I really can't multitask. But I wanted to call out Hendricks just a little bit more. So 137 strikeouts in 160 innings. That's the one downfall. He does have a complete game shutout to his name. This will be the 3rd time he's gone against Pittsburgh here. He has done well against them from a baseball standpoint. However, a 2.7 ERA, a 0.9 WHIP. In those outings, he only has 5 strikeouts, so he's averaging 10 fantasy points per game. That would be 1 point per 1,000, Jake. That doesn't feel good.
No, that's not great. Hendricks is a low upside pitcher, but the reason you'd play him here is just in hopes that he's the highest raw point pitcher. Paxton, you hope, would falter a little bit, and you could still stack up the Cubs or the Yankees. I think you can get away with both of those teams with Hendricks as your SP1. So that's the appeal. That's all.
All right, let's get on to game 2. Speaking of Paxton, speaking of Wagsback, this is one where I want to attack Mr. Wagsback. He has been, I believe the Spanish term is muy malo against righties. Let me call out the Spotlight Hitters article here because they are the early game team I do want to target. If the chalk gets too high on this, we do have a nice pivot in our next game, frankly. And then, going against Marvel, not the worst thing in the world. But I wanted to mention across 147 same-handed hitters, Wagsback's been a mess. He has allowed a 373 WOBA, a 246 ISO with only a 16.3% strikeout. That is righty versus righty. So you've got Torres, Voit, Judge, Urshela, Frazier, DJ LeMahieu. Those guys all have above or are right at 200 ISOs this season, and most of them have it stretching back to last season. A veritable murderer's row, shall we say, borrowing a phrase from the turn of last century when describing the Yankees. That was before my time as well, Jay.
It was a bit before mine, but I do understand the reference. That was like 1920s reference, right?
We're looking at about 100 years.
Yeah. All right. Well, you mentioned Wagsback. Not a guy I'm looking to target at all. He's kind of too expensive. Like, why is he even 6K at this spot? Really difficult spot against the Yankees, assuming they roll out a normal lineup. It's September baseball, so things could change. They could, roll out under half their starters, and all of a sudden Wagsback could look okay. But still a guy that's not going to give you a lot of strikeouts. It's a great park for home runs this season. One of the best in the MLB, actually. And then the Yankees are just stacked 1 through 9. So I don't think you can play him, like I said. Marvel is the guy I would rather go to if you're punting your SP2 spot. Paxton's been good this year. I didn't realize how high his strikeout percentage is. He's at almost 30%, 29.9, giving up a little bit more power than you would like. And there's going to be a lot of righties with power. So I'm not wild about the matchup. I think he's going to grade out in Alex's projections as the top raw point pitcher on the slate. I just don't know from a lineup construction standpoint if I would get to a lot of Paxton here at 11K, just because I want as many Nationals and Cubs and Yankees bats as possible. So you'd be looking at a Paxton Marvel combo, which I think a lot of people are going to have.
And that's what Adam and I kind of worked our way through on the early bird last night and came up to a similar conclusion. It is possible that's probably the way people are going to go. So you'll want to differentiate elsewhere. In that one, we were saying maybe go with Washington bats instead of the Yankees bats because we were trying to guess who was going to. If you're following the masses, where you're going to go. We'll have some owner popularity up here during the show, so we can circle back and look at that. Paxton's really brought it on. So he's gone 26 games this year. Remember, he has dealt with a little bit of injury. His first 80 or so innings, he had about 100 strikeouts, which is good. His last 56, he has 73 strikeouts, which is great. So it's he's continuing to improve from there. He has allowed about equal power in those chunks of innings. So he's trading off the more strikeouts for allowing a little bit more home runs, but he's not not having as many base runners as well. So it's a good trade-off. $11,000 apex price point for him, but that's okay. We'll work with that. Anything else you wanted to mention from this game?
I don't think so. I think just Yankees bats as many as possible. If you're stacking, or if you're playing, like if you're not playing Paxton, it does make sense to maybe take a Blue Jays bat or two, and like you're going to get some leverage on the field. I would imagine Paxton is super chalky on this early slate. So my favorite is probably Grichuk. Vlad's been slumping. Grichuk and Bichette, I think, are my favorites.
All right, looks like they are slowly pushing through the popularity. They're gonna have to.
Yeah, I saw there's a typo on the first run. So
there's a typo in the early one, but the main slate's there. So Tom,
okay.
If you are listening, You might want to tweak that. It looks like it just pulled the top row for everybody. But continuing along to our third and final game of most of these early slate contests, we will talk about that 6 o'clock standalone game. We do have some warmth, shall we say, a late summer, some September weather to remember here in the DC area. It's going to be in the mid 80s. We have Atlanta coming into Washington, battle for the AL East. However, it's a commanding lead for Atlanta. On the other side, you have the Nationals, who do have a 3-game lead in the wild card race. And then in the NL Central, I'm sorry, I wanted to point that out. You've got the Cubs are in the mix there with Milwaukee and St. Louis. The two of those three are going to be battling for the second wild card spot. So the NL Central is going to be active all the way down the stretch. You have the Phillies and Mets are a little bit back from this whole mess, so they're not eliminated, but it's going to be hard for them to go. They're going to need an epic meltdown there from the Nationals, which, hey, if any team can do it, it is certainly them. Michael Fultonevich going against Austin Voth. I do not want either of these pitchers. We have good hitting weather. We've got a 5 and a 5.5 implied run total here, and we've got solid offenses on both sides. Jake, we do like to do mass multi-entry, so 10 to 15% of these pitchers completely fine, because again, we only have 6 to choose from, maybe even 20%. Just know this is probably a game where you want to allow 2 hitters against your pitcher because of the way things are setting up. And you hope your guy maybe goes 4 or 5 relatively clean innings and the damage is done off of the bullpen, so you kind of get the best of both worlds if you're scripting a outcome that is favorable to you.
Yeah, the more I look at it, maybe you do want to allow 2 hitters against your pitcher on this slate, except maybe against Paxton and Hendricks. So if you could, I don't use groups for baseball, but you could somehow set that up in Fantasy Cruncher to only allow
one. It usually does a pretty good job of the projections taking care of it.
Right. Because the Blue Jays aren't going to project that well from a raw point.
Right. And then what sometimes happens is it might be the lower priced guy that you have 2 crappy guys against, your decent pitcher, and you're okay with that if it's getting you the otherwise perfect lineup. Yeah. So just when you're hand building, you've got a lot more flexibility. One thing I have looked at, and this doesn't always work, but usually the point per dollar projections will hook you up in a reasonable way. So it won't be best hitters against best pitchers. It's like, that's not how it
works. Right. So I think against both of these guys, like you mentioned, DMAC, allow at least 1, possibly 2 hitters against them. Fulte has had a really up and down season. I don't know quite what to make of him, but the issues against lefties are real. He's allowing over 2 home runs per 9, under 19% K rate. I mean, just xFIP closer to 6 than 5. I mean, he's just had real issues. So Soto sticks out as a fantastic play. I like his Drupal Cabrera. And then the righties are just so tough on this Nationals team too. Zimmerman, Rendon, Turner, Robles in the 7th spot. I really, really like the Nats. They're of course a top 3 stack for me on this slate. There's like a clear top 4 anyways in the early slate. They might be my second favorite ahead of the Cubs or the Yankees against Fulte here. I wanted to take a quick look at the early ownership. We just got another update, so I think it's corrected.
So the FanDuel looks like it's working. DK still.
We do. Oh yeah, DK's not working. Let's look at what it is on FanDuel. Oh wait, I don't see it working on FanDuel either. But
at the very early. Oh, that's an old slate. Never mind.
Yeah. So we're having some tech difficulties there, but someone's saying nice things in YouTube chat about me. Thanks. But yeah, I really, really like the Nats here against Fulte. I like the Braves too, but I think they're my clear 4. These other 3 top teams are ahead of them.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And that's in per the DK or not DK, good God, per the Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article. that the pivot from the Yankees is this game.
For sure.
That's kind of our early slate. We'll talk about the 6 o'clock slate. Reminder: if you have not yet signed up for Yahoo, wait for it in the third paragraph of any spotlight hitters and stacks article. And on our link, use our promo code, and with your initial deposit, you can get up to $30 matched in Yahoo Sports rewards points, also known as YSRP, and those are available for immediate use into any contest. I did notice some people mentioning in chat there was a little bit of a glitch with depositing yesterday. I did just fine this morning. I couldn't get in last night when I was trying to get some more funds in because I had jumped in all of the Thursday games with everything that's the other reason I don't know how many games I'm going to play, Jake, for the $1 Million Baller, is I put a couple $100 into the Thursday contest because they overlay. And that not you cannot celebrate just yet. There's a lot to go, but considering that McCaffrey was 50% in that one, off to a decent start thus far with the games where I did not play any, I barely played anybody from that evening game. The other thing I wanted to point out there is they do have their baseball management fee free contest today. I think it's 1,000 spots, and so $3 to get in, 10 entry max. That will fill. I was a little sad as I was trying to get in for baseball because I only had enough left to make one lineup, and I made my. They have the. So for you guys that aren't in it, do their. Oh hell, what is it called? I want to mention this for everybody. It's called the Yahoo Cup. So they do it for baseball. So baseball, what they did is they every Friday free roll. I think it's $4,000 or $5,000 each week, and then it's like $20,000 for the end of the season or something crazy like that. But they count all your scores. They drop 7 of them. So if you forget to play or whatever of the 25 weeks that they do it, they drop your 7 lowest scores. Last night I got 75th out of 44,000 with my one lineup.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I wish I would have had that in some more contests.
You only had it in that?
I had it in one other contest.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't take it down, but
wow.
It was a good one. And that was even with Willens Estudio. He was the mascot on that team. But I went with Alcantara, Tyler Beatty as a 6.5 and 4.7 combo. Jose Abreu, my home run pick for last night. I saw you got yours as well. Abreu at 1%, Garrett Hampson at 2.5%. Those guys both got homers. Arenado at 2%. He got a homer. Tim Anderson at 2%. Chris Davis double dong at 5%. Will Myers had a decent game, double and a run scored and some other stuff. And Eloy Jimenez home run. So just nailed it, and then didn't have that anywhere else basically.
So I picked Davis, or I was going to pick Davis as my home run pick, but I figured it was too chalky, so I pivoted to Laureano. It worked out, but would have been a nice double dong. I was ahead of you, or we were back tied for about 4 minutes, and then
was that all it was?
Yeah, I was like right away. I was celebrating, and then Abreu dong I saw it in the premium Slack. Shout out to Gerard in YouTube chat. He says he won 10K on the early slate last week. Soler. Homer in the 9th inning. Nice job.
Excellent work. Yeah, that's a nice one. Hang that one on your wall.
There you go.
Here's our 6 o'clock game, and then let's see. I'll mark this so we're at about 30 minutes in, so I can tag that within the written description there on the podcast that I'll be uploading after this show. So for any of you that have to duck out, you'll know when to fast forward and you can get to the games, or we get to the second slate here. This is sort of the tweener, if you will, the matinee. We've got Gabriel Inoa going against Daniel Norris. Both guys probably going to go around 3 innings, would be my guess. This will be a single game slate only, unless you are playing the all-day slates, which I think currently only exist on Yahoo. FanDuel might have one, but basically this is going to be the forgotten game. We have a 4.7 implied run total for Baltimore, 4.9 for Detroit, which kind of high for both these teams considering their weaker offenses. If I was leaning one way, for me, I would go with Baltimore against Daniel Norris. Detroit literally has a bottom 3 bullpen rating in xFIP, FIP, Sierra, ERA, strikeout rate, and walk rate. They're horrible. Baltimore, we like to complain and argue with them, but I just don't see anybody taking it to them from Detroit. Miguel Cabrera, 400 at bats against righties. I think he's got an 0.97 ISO. I haven't looked at it for a couple.
Wow.
It's like Starlin Castro's hitting better than him.
Yeah, Castro's quietly having a pretty decent season. I see him always pop up on the barrel alerts. He's playing okay for a bad team. Cabrera, not the same. Let's see, Noah and Norris. So which slate are you playing these guys on? Is this even on? Is this on the Yahoo?
Yes, it's on Yahoo, and it is a single game standard.
All right, let me go to the pricing here. Man, so I'm not going to play the single game on DK. I don't really love anything. I think these pitchers are priced appropriately. Maybe, man, I don't even think I can go to Inoa. Through 67 on the 3rd of September. I guess he could go deep enough to be useful on the all-day slate for $26 against this bad Detroit team, but pretty decent implied totals. I would just be looking at value bats probably on both sides. Mancini, $16. I don't hate Ronnie Rodriguez for 13. I mean, it's pretty tough recommending anyone on Detroit. I think Baltimore is the team I would rather look at if you're looking to stack.
Yeah, and even then, they're not exactly super discounts because the guys who have been doing well have been doing well for a little bit of a stretch. So, well, I guess Santander at 13 is pretty decent. Trey Mancini at 16 is okay in the righty-lefty matchup. Jonathan Villar, little bit spendy there. You're hoping for a stolen base. He got one last night. He's still running, looking for some milestones there. Those would kind of be the guys I would go to, but I just with every team in play, I don't know that we have to go there. I need to correct myself. 412 at bats in righty-righty matchups this year for Miguel Cabrera, 0.089. It's gone down in the 2 days since I last looked.
So bad, dude. I mean, 2 years ago, this guy was someone you played every day at DFS, and now it's just
Triple Crown winner. Him and Carl Yastrzemski. That's it.
Man, unreal.
Oh, all right, let's head to the evening slate here. Let me look at some other stuff. What we will do is we'll talk about each of the games. We're going to kind of use the DK a little bit as our guidelines here, since that is the more popular two-pitcher site, but we'll also keep an eye on Yahoo, and then we'll circle back here at the end, going through each of the pitchers and where we think the lineup construction is going to end up, because there are some intriguing choices at Yahoo between the $48 and $53 price range. There are a lot of options, actually, but we'll discern which ones we are considering and looking for, because there are a few holes here and there in what some of the matchups have to offer. Let me get my filters onto the main slate. So first one we've got here, this is kind of a stay away game, a Manny special, if you will. I love how Alex brings out the Manny special. For those of you that don't know, that was coined by one Manny Laura. Well, actually it was coined by his co-hosts back in the Fanvice days, when Manny would completely forget a particular game was on the slate. More often this would happen in basketball, but it would happen in baseball as well. The players just were not in his plans, and he would not analyze the game. He would just cross it off. And then he'd get this quizzical, confused look on his face when they'd be talking about, wait, why are you talking about these guys? They're like, Manny, it's the 8:30 game. Oh, yeah. I just crossed it off. The Manny special. So that is what this is for me. So Boston at Philadelphia, low 70s, 6 to 8 mile an hour breeze going out to center there. 4.4 implied run total for Boston going against Aaron Nola. Tough matchup for Nola. He's reasonably priced at 9,500. Phillies are still playing for something. Boston not eliminated, but they're 13.5 back. I think they're 9.5 back from the wild card. They're all but eliminated, but they do have an amazing offense. They did have yesterday off. So I suspect we'll see full go with their regular lineup coming out, but they lose the DH. But that's still a tough lineup to tangle with. So pending, if Betts is out, or JD's out, or Devers is out, or Bogarts is out, one of those four is out, now we're talking. Maybe we start to look here at Nola, but I'm not really interested in that. On the other side, a lot of righties in that Baltimore, or probably in that Phillies lineup going against Eduardo Rodriguez, who is 10-3. 8-3, we can talk. 10-3, there are other guys I want to look at. Is there anything that stands out to you in this game that is worth mentioning?
I do like Red Sox bats, assuming they're going to be low owned against Nola. Just a difficult lineup, 1 through 6 especially. Nola will give up home runs from time to time, just kind of a power pitcher, and that tends to happen. So it looks like a pretty good hitting environment for September baseball. And you're getting quality prices on JD and Benintendi, even though he's not great. Bogarts Betts is 5,300, the only guy that I think is priced up to his usual spot. So I could see getting to some Red Sox bats. Other than that, though, I think I agree with you. Not much I'm looking at for pitching, especially on the other side. I don't see as favorable of pricing for the Phillies as I do for the Red Sox outside of Rhys Hoskins, who's 4K.
Let's see. So confirming Boston 10 back in the wild card, 19 back in the AL East
They're
from
cooked.
the Yankees, and 9 back are Tampa Bay. So not only do they have to run down the Yankees, which they would need the Yankees to lose every game, and they need to win every game, and they still couldn't for the AL East. So yeah, bit of a mess there. But this is something we always want to keep an eye on at this time of the year. Our next game, a little bit similar outcome here, Jake. We have Jacob deGrom at 11,500 going against the Dodgers. No easy matchup for anybody. On the other side, you have Hyun-Jin Ryu, who is at 86. That's a reasonable price point there for Ryu. But with every rosters expanded, and with the Dodgers essentially running away with, already clinching their playoff spot and basically just battling to see who has the best record for home field World Series. And what am I saying? In the World Series. So Atlanta is 4 games behind them, and they are the Dodgers are actually 1 game behind the Yankees if they were to look for World Series advantage. They went back to that for the World Series, right? It's not the stupid winner of the All-Star game. They did away with that a couple years ago.
Yeah, I thought they did. I have no clue, though. I don't usually pay attention to that. I only pay attention to DFS. So yes. It's weird talking about the standings and like seeing where teams are.
Right. Well, in any event, back to Ryu. We're going to quash him right now. So he's gone 90 pitches in each of his last 3 starts, actually last 5 starts. However, here are his innings. 4 1/3, 4 2/3, 4 1/3, 5 2/3. That means the bullpen's coming in. That means he has not been nearly as effective. This has been against Colorado in Chavez Ravine, at Arizona, at home against the Yankees, and then in Atlanta. So not all the easiest of matchups, but he has just not been effective. Strikeouts really not there. I guess it's 1 per inning, but they're 4 or 5. That's not going to get it done if he's only going 4 or 5 innings. We need a combination to get us to 13 between innings and strikeouts before we're even really in play for a pitcher at this price point. So I don't want to go here. On the other side, interesting with deGrom, but that's a tough ask going against the Dodgers. If for some reason they decide to give some players the day off, which they could, and just say, hey, we're going to rest some of our key guys, their secondary guys are still pretty damn good. They just got Muncy back. Pollock's healthy. Seager's healthy. Everybody's mostly healthy. So, again, more of a stay away here. I just hate writing off either of these teams because so often we say, yeah, I want to play deGrom, and the Dodgers offense is always in play. This is not the case to me.
I don't think I'm going to be getting to the deGrom price range very often looking at this main slate. So deGrom is my favorite guy, I think, above Flaherty, but like I'll just drop down to Flaherty when we get there. Just a much better strikeout matchup and just overall matchup with no Yelich in that Brewers lineup. So deGrom probably the best pitcher on this slate. Maybe not the best DFS pitcher because of how awesome Clevenger's been, but like I said, I just think it's a really difficult matchup. Of course, assuming once again that the Dodgers are going to have their normal lineup or somewhat close to a normal lineup. Ryu, you mentioned him just not going deep. I think that's probably going to be the case. Once again, the Dodgers don't have real reason to overextend these guys right now going into the playoffs and just trying to keep everyone healthy and rested and all that. Bats don't stick out to me. I don't want much of anything on the Dodgers side. And then maybe Wilson Ramos at under 4K is a decent option. That's really all I got.
All right. Thank you. As the reminder, I do want to remind everybody when we're naysaying some of these more expensive pitchers, it is because there is a warm Texas game on the slate. It is because there is a Coors Field game. So that's really going to impact what we're looking at here. Moving along, we've got what is now the second game of the doubleheader that resulted in last night's postponement between Minnesota and Cleveland. Don't yet have an official starter for the Twins, but I believe it's going to be an opener. Ryan Dobnik going, and then the next guy is, I'm going from memory here, Devin Smeltzer. So you've got that righty-lefty combo. Not really interested in taking guys against Cleveland unless they somehow have a less than full go lineup. It's a twilight doubleheader, so it's a 6 hour difference. So it's not like they were going back to back here. So I feel that there's probably not much for me from the Twins side. On the other side, Mike Clevenger going against the Twins. This will be the third time he's faced them. He's owned them his first 2 times, Jake. I really don't want to dance with that devil for a third time. So I really don't want to go with Clevenger because of context of the slate. And this is a 7 o'clock game. If this was an 8 o'clock game, we'd start talking about the 3 or 4 game 8 o'clock slate. That's not the case tonight. So this is another sort of stay away for me. Anything you want to sift from the rubble of this game?
Puig at 4,500 stands out as a good value. Even he can hit righties, he can hit lefties. Cleveland looks like an okay stack, but I don't think they're going to be in that tier for like my favorite tonight with Coors and the Texas game you mentioned. So I don't think I'm going to get to much in this game. Astros, I didn't even include there. I hate targeting the reliever games.
We may have an update, and thank you in chat. I'm going to give credit to Justin Wilson, and I just confirmed this. And these pages are usually right. This is the MLB.com starter page. Clevenger should be pitching in the first game, which is not on any slate, which doesn't help us. But in the second game, neither team has.
So that gives me interest in the Twins then, if it's not going to be Clevenger, because they're priced down like they're facing Clevenger. So Twins look like really good values. Do we have any idea who it's going to be for Cleveland? Not Clevenger is the important thing, but
Let's look and see who was scheduled yesterday. Oh, wait, they started the game.
they started the game, so there's no way it's going to be Savali because he pitched 3 innings, I think, yesterday.
So it's a doubleheader, so they are allowed to call somebody up as the 26th man. Bieber is slated to
go. All right, so
don't think they push Bieber early.
I
think they're going to fill in somebody, but who that is, we don't know. And they could have a AAA starter stashed on their 40-man. 26-man doesn't matter because we're in September call-ups. It's 40-man roster. They could have a couple AAA starters on their roster that could go 3 or 4 innings apiece and just take care of this problem. We won't know until that's actually.
Yeah. Justin's also saying Carrasco in chat.
I wanted to say that, but how much is he going to go, and how effective will he still be? An amazing story for him dealing with his health and still pitching this season and all. Tight matchup for him. I don't want to play him, but maybe that doesn't scare us off the Twins' bats like it would if it was Carlos Carrasco.
Right.
Instead of holy cow, I can't believe he's pitching Carlos Carrasco.
Exactly. So Twins TBD, but it looks like really favorable pricing just because of the nature of them not going up against Clevenger anymore.
Right. On to our next one. Keeping that because we do have a show at 11 o'clock. Greinke, the Royals, former team. Are you feeling revenge? Does he even remember he played for the Royals? He's been in the league so long at this point. Did he play for the Royals? Now I'm forgetting.
I can't remember him playing for the Royals, but you might be right on that.
In any event, he is a mega favorite here against the Royals. He did actually play for the Royals, Jake. He
Well, there
spent
you go.
7 seasons with them. Oh yeah, and won his first Cy Young award and only Cy Young award with them.
Wow, I don't remember that at all. He's been on like 4 different teams since then, right?
And on Milwaukee, the Angels, the Dodgers, Arizona, and now Houston.
So 5. Wow, did not know that. 9,300 here. The win equity is huge against KC. 310 favorite, minus 310 favorite. It's just like KC still does have a decent lineup at the top, and it's not like they're an elite strikeout matchup. Greinke's not striking out that many guys this season anyway. Just average versus righties, he's almost at 25% on the season. So you could make a case for Greinke. There's just a guy like way better that's even cheaper than Greinke and in a better park that we'll get to later. So
yeah, and then on the other side, Montgomery, 4,400. He is a better than $4,400 pitcher. He is 4,400. He is in play at that price point. However, you're also going to want to look at the Houston Bats. They are the best team right there with Minnesota and Arizona against lefties in every metric that is important. So it's going to be it's not a strong endorsement at all for Montgomery. It's just that he is 4,400, so I could see 5-10%. You just hope nothing crazy happens and you get the right bats that go off in what are many good offensive situations tonight. Greinke, for me, I don't know that I'll quite get there. And this is a 7 o'clock, not the 8 o'clock slate, so nothing we can talk about on the short one. Last one of our 7 o'clock games, we have Jordan Lyles going against Jack Flaherty. We're going to be all in on Flaherty tonight. We'll let Jake talk about that. I did want to bring up with Jordan Lyles, he is the last pitcher, because I think Hauser he went like 76 pitches last night, but I don't think he got out of the fifth because he had that grand slam. So you've got Jordan Lyles was the last pitcher to go out of the fifth inning for Milwaukee. I was looking at a bunch of box scores, so I could have missed somebody. But since the 3rd of September, most of their pitchers are going about 70 pitches. They're going 2 times through the batting order, and then they're turning it over to the bullpen. Now, is that what they're trying to do in Milwaukee? I couldn't find anything that definitively said, here's what we're going to do. But they do have a good bullpen. They've got all the extra arms, but it's Anderson, it's Davies, it's Gio, it's Lyles, it's Hauser. Those are guys that don't always go 5 innings anyway, even if they have the full leash.
exactly.
So it's one of those, I don't know what we're looking at here for sure, but Lyles at 7,800 doesn't feel like a good price if he only goes 5 innings, and he may only go 4 and change.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lyles is a guy I'm pretty comfortable crossing off for a number of different reasons. He's almost 8K on DK that I have no real interest in. When you can just pay up a little bit more you can pay up for Greinke or another guy we'll get to a little bit later. So when I first see the Jack Flaherty price, it's like, oh, wow, that's kind of expensive, but he's pitching like an ace right now. He's scoring 30 plus DK points regularly. And now you take out Yelich, their best lefty bat, their best bat in the entire lineup. So if this was happening 5 or 6 days ago, it wouldn't be that favorable of a spot for Flaherty. But now you have to put in a worse bat. You got Spangenberg in there. Thames is still a strikeout target. Like there are a bunch of strikeouts plus righties in the lineup, pitcher spot. I think it just sets up as a really, really awesome spot. And the Vegas total right now, 3.1 implied runs here for the Brewers. Flaherty is probably my favorite pitcher on the slate when you factor in everything. I hope DeGrom and these other guys take some ownership off of him because I absolutely love Flaherty here.
Yeah, and the thing to remember, Milwaukee not mailing it in. They are 5 back from the NL Central, 1 back from that second wild card spot. So they're not out of it. So this is not, they're not trying to have a watered down lineup. They're not trying to rest pitchers. They're trying to pull every little trick out of the bag that they can. Losing Yelich to the broken kneecap is problematic. Every day Ryan Braun gets a little bit older. Some of their guys that started off well are fading a little bit here, but this is a game crucial to both teams, and I'm pushing the chips in with Flaherty myself. Adam came to the same conclusion. You will get the deep dive written by Adam this afternoon. That'll be behind the paywall, but I'm sure he'll break these things down a little bit more. But in the context of the slate, it's hard not to go Flaherty like 40, 50% potentially, which I would not have expected saying when we have 22 pitchers to choose when we started this game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just going to get as much as possible of Flaherty.
All right. Let's see. On to our next game here. Sorry, let's back up one step. I don't see attacking Lyles with the Cardinals. There are just better spots out there because it's not just Lyles, it is bullpen. And the bullpen is decent. So I did want to throw that one out there. Next game here, we're on to the 8 o'clock games. Oakland at Texas. That's going to be in the mid 90s here at first pitch. You have Mike Fiers going against Mike Minor. We saw both teams loaded for bear at this point. A lot of power still left. Mike Fiers, did you know that he has allowed 7 home runs in his last 2 games, Jake?
Yeah, it feels like they were all against the Astros in that last
5
one.
of them were. 5 of them were. Did you know back, was it May 7th, he had a no-hitter?
Yes, and before last start, he had won, he had not lost a start for like 13 or 14 straight starts. So
did you also know that was the second no-hitter of his career?
Yes, I did know that too. This guy has had the weirdest little run here lately. I still think he stinks.
Yes.
But the Rangers lineup is just really ugly near the bottom. Like Odor, he's priced up. He's usually not priced up. I really like Santana here, Danny Santana, assuming he's batting 5th or somewhere in
22 home runs on the season for Santana.
Yeah, so Santana is a guy I will be actively targeting against Fiers. I like Chu. I like Andrews. You can get to a Texas stack here. Lower implied total than I would have thought, but that's probably just because Texas kind of stinks. I would rather stack up the Rangers, I think, just because I think Oakland's going to go a little over-owned against Minor. Minor's a really good pitcher, and they've got a good implied total, but they're just too cheap, so they're going to be good optimizer plays. I'll be trying to look to get away from Oakland even after that huge outburst last night they had.
So here's why Fiers can be both good and bad literally at the same time. He has an 18% strikeout rate. These are all since the beginning of last season. So we're looking at 1,400 at-bats here across both sides of the plate, relatively split equally. 696 lefties, 720 righties. 40% ground ball rate, not good. 40% fly ball rate, not good as well. So he's managing to straddle the line there with both of those. Strikes out 18% of batters, not great. 6% walk rate. That's good, but it means lots of balls in play. If you hit him where they are, he has a good game. If you hit him where they ain't, it's where he has a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
Anything can happen in this one. I do see the merits of playing him, especially after presenting the same argument with Adam. And it's all pricing, and I'm going to go see why my dog's going crazy. So if you want to talk about the rest of this game, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Oakland bats are cheap. Chris Davis is starting to hit like Chris Davis for power, and he's 3,500 in this spot. I'm going to take a look at the pricing on Yahoo and see if anything jumps out. I can't remember where they were at yesterday. Yeah, wow, Davis and Pinder at $9 and $7. So they're just cheap across the board. Minor's just a good pitcher, though. We've seen him overcome these tough matchups like the whole season. I don't think I could even get to Minor on Yahoo at 40. Minor and Fiers are both $40 on Yahoo. Not really looking to target either of these guys in this park. But I am going to be lighter on Oakland. I would assume they're going to be somewhat popular because of what they did last night. So recency bias and because of the 5.5 implied total. And, there's just a variety of reasons why people would want to play Oakland, and I understand it, but I just have a lot of respect for Mike Minor here. And I don't think EMAC is back yet. So there's really nothing that sticks out to me outside of Danny Santana, who I really, really, really love here. Sounds like
Perfect. Perfect timing. Are we ready for Coors Field?
I think so. I
All
think so.
right. This is it. This is the creme de la creme, the Coors Field extravaganza. This is where dessert starts and ends. Eric Lauer going against Pete Lambert. What is wrong with Pete Lambert? Pretty much nothing other than he's not ready to pitch in the major leagues. He's 22 and getting his ass kicked both at home and on the road. Did have some decent stuff in the minors. Actually has a bit of a pedigree with regards to what he should be doing. This is just not a good season for him. On the other side, Eric Lauer, adequate pitcher, but he will be taking on Nolan Arenado and Trevor Story, both of whom top 400 isolated powers at home against lefties since the beginning of last year. Load them up on both sides. You don't need me to tell you that. We have some cheap players as well, especially on DraftKings in this one, Jake. I can sense where everybody's going to be collecting after the 18 runs that were scored last night.
Yeah, I mean, just the Padres are just way too cheap on DK, so that's going to make them popular, probably a little bit more popular than they should be. But like, how do you pass up on Machado for under 5K against Lambert? Like, even though they're not great hitters, Hosmer and Garcia and Martini, they're just way too cheap, and the Vegas totals say it all, 6.5 a piece. I think overall, I have a little bit more interest in stacking the Rockies. Story and Arenado look like pretty decent plays against the lefty and Coors. I mean, Desmond at 4,500, I know he's not great. I probably just will try to avoid getting to too much Hampson and Butera. I like Blackman for 5,400 as well. So I would hope I have more Rockies here, but this is going to be my highest exposed hitting game by a mile.
Yeah, last night, at first I was worried that it didn't really play out, that we didn't kind of our collective thought was the Rockies may be a little bit overowned. Hey, they had a great game. You know who also had a great game last night? Oakland, the Mariners, the White Sox, variety of teams. So it kind of negated the fact that the Rockies did so well. The hard part about the Rockies is it was concentrated in the very most popular guys. But hey, sometimes that is going to happen in this one. Tonight, though, I think the way everything is shaping up, I'm going to try to go over the field where whatever it is on both sides of this rather than under.
I agree.
All right, the Reds, Arizona. And this is all going to depend what happens with the Arizona lineup. We know that Anthony DeSclafani gets the park upgrade going into Chase Field, where the roof will be closed over Great American Ballpark. However, he is bad against lefties. What lefties will Arizona be bringing out? Well, not for sure, but most likely switch hitters Ketel Marte and Eduardo Escobar will be in there. Probably Jared Dyson, but I don't really count him because he doesn't have a lot of power, even though DK throughout the majority of the season has priced him as like a $5,000 player. He's finally back down in the low 4,000s, but he's not really stealing a ton of bases either, and really not batting leadoff very often anymore. And then I don't know who else is going to be their lefties. I don't even really know who is available to them. So that has Anthony DeSclafani in play.
Yeah, I
if
think
it's 5 lefties, probably no. If it's 4 and one of them's Dyson, I'm okay with it. Where's your line of demarcation without having built lineups, seeing what else is going on? If there's any value, fifth outfielders getting the start today or September call-ups, etc. What's your read here on Disco Stew?
just a tough price point for DeSclafani and tough matchup, honestly, for strikeouts, even though he's been really good versus righties. I think there's enough lefties here, enough quality lefties, Marte, Rojas, Escobar, that I'm okay putting him on the back burner for now, at least until we see this Arizona lineup. If they just mail it in and throw out 6 righties and for whatever reason they don't have Marte or Escobar or someone in there, then I'll give him another look. But right now I think I'm okay not playing DeSclafani because of the other guy in his tier that's a little bit more expensive. Merrill Kelly, not my guy. Probably won't get to him here. I like Van Meter leading off for 3,600. Votto at 4,100. This game's kind of just meh for me. Like the Arizona pricing's all over the place for hitting too. Marte at 55. That's really tough. Rojas is just the obvious value, and then Escobar, I guess I'm okay with as well.
Oh, I had forgotten. For me, if I'm going against Merrill Kelly, you know, they're both very expensive, but it's the righties that have had more success against the 30-year-old rookie Merrill Kelly this season. 3 games to go. We're tracking nicely with time. Thank you for everybody in chat asking what's going on with the dog. Well, there were little kids playing in front of our house, and when she was a puppy, and the little kids that lived around us were younger, they would come get her and take her out and play in the field or the park in front of our house. She's grown up, they've all grown up and moved away, but there's a whole new batch of kids that have come in. They all have their own dogs, so it's not as novel to come get our dog to play with them. So she was sad because they were running back and forth across in front of our house. So she wanted them to come get her. They didn't hear her barking, but we heard her. But she's okay. She's sad, but she's okay. All right. Miami, San Francisco. Boy, that was a pitching matchup for the ages last night. Well, at least the results anyway. Are we going to get another one tonight? I don't know, Jake. Madsen Bumgarner, very intriguing at this price point. We'll be facing nearly an entire lineup full of righties. However, he's going to be getting some run support tonight, it looks like. The Vegas implied run total here for the Giants is 4.8. That is up a quarter of a run since last night. They are facing Robert Duger, who has not been great, not been bad from a baseball perspective, bad from a DFS perspective. Are you going to look at the Giants, particularly on this 3-game late slate?
I think they make for okay options. I think I actually like Duggar, just that he's 7K. I think I prefer him over Merrill Kelly in this park against hopefully he's going to get 6 righties. Right now I'm seeing Posey, Longoria, Pilar, Davis, Dubon, and Bumgarner in the projected lineup. So I think potentially a pretty favorable lineup. He's struck out, I think, just under 25% of righties in a short sample. So I don't think he's good, but he has been okay for DFS against righties. So if you see a righty-heavy lineup, I think there's some merit in playing Bobby Duggs. Bumgarner is probably going to be my highest exposed pitcher on the slate.
Even more than Flaherty?
I think so, just because of the price point and the fact that it is a cooler slate. There's not a lot of great pure punt options too, so that's going to push me down to Bumgarner quite a bit. But I'd love if Flaherty was my highest exposed too. I like both of these guys a ton. It's just a match against the Marlins, a team that already doesn't have much power in one of the worst parks for power. There's no one in this lineup that really scares me in this park, and Bumgarner's just been really solid all season.
All right, I'm checking it out here for Bobby Duggs. He has 57 innings in AAA. He's got an 8.3 strikeout rate per 9 there. That's okay, but knock about 20% off for Major League discount. That makes it a little tougher. Plus, he played for the Baby Cakes. Who's scared of anybody that plays for
the Baby Cakes? What a name.
That is pretty silly. In any event, price, location, matchup, there is some merit here, as much as reluctantly as I want to say. The strikeouts, though, I'm going to set the over/under at 4.5.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you don't need a massive performance here, so I don't know. I like Bobby Duggs here for what he is. I don't think he's a great pitcher. I do think Bumgarner is a very good pitcher still.
All right. Here is a good question. Who gets more strikeouts tonight? Bobby Glass now in an opening role where he's probably going to go 45 pitches.
Ooh, I'll take Bobby Duggs. I think that's probably the chalk, but you could see Glass now racking up a few in a couple innings.
Behind Glasnow's 5K. Behind him, it looks like it's going to be Trevor Richards. He is at 6,400. The matchup is against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, who are without Shohei Ohtani, who is undergoing knee surgery in preparation to be ready for next season. Nothing major, but it's, I think I read, 10 to 12 week recovery. And then Mike Trout was supposedly going to start, but was a late scratch, as Jake let everybody know in our Slack chat. Teamwork. We got the all channel blast. That is definitely, I think, right up there with the popularity projections. Right up there is Slack with what is worthwhile with the Osmo Premium, the Osmo Plus, shall we say, memberships. If you use promo code MLB Strategy, you get 50% off any 1 month package. That gives you the keys to the kingdom. NFL, MMA, NHL starting up pretty soon. NASCAR, the race is tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, random Sunday night race without a Monday holiday, and a variety of other things in there, including, oh yeah, NFL, MLB, we got it. WNBA, it's there for you. Everything. Tennis, golf, the swing season. I love how the golfers call it the swing season. Pun clearly intended on that one, but we've got everything there for you. But promo code MLB Strategy gets you 50% off any 1 month package. 2 games to go here. We kind of hit on Glasnow and Richards a little bit. Let's say some bad things about Jaime Barria. He has been getting his ass kicked by righties this season. He has allowed 165 righties to compile a 400 WOBA. What do you think his ISO is?
Against righties?
Against righties.
I'm talking maybe like 220?
360.
Wow.
Yes.
That's really bad. I feel like I knew he was bad against righties, but maybe not that bad.
Last year it was about 200. This year it's gotten worse. And by the way, no longer very good against left. He was adequate against lefties last year with a 190 ISO. But hey, it's lefties versus righties. This year he's not doing well against them. So target the Tampa Bay Rays. I've mentioned this in Spotlight Hitters and Stacks. I hope, now this is Tampa Bay, so they don't usually go with the lefty-righty matchup. That's how we got to do it. They're smarter. They look at the advanced numbers. I'm hoping we get Tommy Pham, Travis d'Arnaud, and then Avisel Garcia in the lineup in good spots. I wouldn't mind Jesus Aguilar, especially on the later slate. He does have very good power against righties. And then, of course, Austin Meadows and Yi-Man Choi are phenomenal hitters in and of themselves, and I'm not worried about them going against a reverse splits pitcher that's not very good against lefties. So those would be the guys I'm looking to. Anything you want to mention for this game?
I want to second those righties you mentioned, Pham, d'Arnaud, and Avisel Garcia. Really, really like those guys against Barria. So the list of good things about Barria starts and ends with he's 5,400, and he's pitching on this slate, and he could go deep, and he could eclipse 5 innings if things go well and get you double-digit fantasy points. I probably will have some of him. There might be a guy in the last game we talked about that I have more of, but just want to throw that out there. I don't think I'm going to get 0 Barria. I think it's going to be greater than 0 Barria exposure for me. But I'd much rather have the Rays bats if I could just have one side.
All right, here it is. Final game of the night. Then we'll talk about FanDuel and Yahoo specific pitching for the main slate with their respective price tags. We've got the Mariners hosting the White Sox. A lot of runs in this game. I think Mariners put up, 7 without a home run? And then we had Jose Abreu get a home run, which was very nice for me. We have Dylan Cease, 6,300 going against the Mariners. Yes, the Mariners will put out a lot of lefties, but who knows what the Mariners are doing, because last night against Dylan Covey, they did not put Dan Vogelbach in the lineup. Otherwise, he would have been my home run call. He will be in the lineup most likely tonight, but he has been slumping wickedly, so that's probably why he didn't make it. On the other side, you have King Felix. He is 4,700. He is no longer King Felix, but he has a $4,700 pitcher going against a team that's going to put a lot of righties out there, which helps Felix a little bit, and they do have a little bit of strikeout upside. The King's Court will probably help Felix more than even this matchup. I will be shocked if Felix makes it out of the 5th. I will be pleasantly surprised if he makes it into the 5th. Is it Felix you're leaning towards, or is it Dylan Cease?
I think it's Cease. Cease has been pretty solid this season. As far like from a strikeout perspective, the power is not not something you might want to shield your eyes from the power he's giving up to lefties. So it's going to be difficult here, but pretty good park. We've seen Cease have real upside. I don't know that we have that with Felix, at least in this spot. So Cease is the guy that I'm leaning to. One of my favorite options in this low tier. It is not a stacked punt tier of pitching tonight, but there are some potential strikeouts in the Seattle lineup. Hopefully you get at least 3 or 4 righties in this lineup. But yeah, it's pretty brutal here for pitching on both sides, just with the amount of power, and then Cease is giving up, and then Felix not being very good anymore.
How many runs do you think Felix gave up in his last start?
Who was it against?
Houston. It was in Houston.
I would say like 6.
It was 11. 7 were earned, but 11 earned runs. Just 1 home run, but only 1 strikeout, 2 walks. So he allowed, where's his hits? How is that possible that he allowed 9 base runners? But 11. Oh, because they got on via
error. Yeah.
Basically, everybody he allowed on came around and scored.
Yeah.
Not good times. Not good times at all. Would you go with Felix or would you go with Berea?
Probably Berea. It's ugly both ways. I think probably Berea though.
Ageism, but okay.
That's right.
Pull up the main slate here for the dueling fans. Devilson, Dean 789 0210 if you want to get all technical. We've got, so we don't think Clevenger's going to pitch. It sounds like he's starting game 1. So let's take him out of the mix. You've got Flaherty at 10-5. You've got
10-8.
On FanDuel?
Oh, I'm sorry.
FanDuel first.
Got it.
Flaherty at 10-5. Bumgarner at 9-7. Then we're looking at Cease at 6,200 probably. Those would be our core 3 in my opinion. You do have Nola in there at 95. I'd rather get the 1,000 to Flaherty or the 400 to Bumgarner.
Yeah.
How are you ranking what is your look on FanDuel single pitcher site?
Flaherty, Bumgarner, my clear top 2. Those would make up the most of my exposure. And then I think I would get a bunch of shares of DeGrom in there as well. It's just a favorable price for arguably the best pitcher. Well, not arguably. He is the best pitcher on this main slate, assuming we have no Clevenger for DFS in real life. Under 11K for DeGrom, even in a tough matchup, is something I'm interested in on FanDuel.
All right. If you go with Flaherty, Arenado, and Story, you still have just shy of 2,600 per bat. Find yourself a $2,200 at bat, $2,100 at bat, and you can have whatever you want. I picked those 2 guys because they were the most expensive. You've got some cheaper Padres there, so you can get whatever you want really tonight with Flaherty. So just know that that's what a lot of people will probably do.
Yeah.
Over on Yahoo, it gets a little bit more intriguing. So let's scoot Clevenger out. We've got DeGrom at 53, Greinke at 52, Flaherty at 51, Nola at 49, Bumgarner at 47. And then it gets garbage pretty quick. So I'm guessing it's still probably Flaherty and Bumgarner here.
Yeah, it's Flaherty and Bumgarner, I think, very easily for me.
Dylan Cease at 30. Does that start to tweak your beat?
I do like Cease at 30. I like Duggar at 29. Those would be my punt targets over on Yahoo.
All right. Berea is at 28 and Felix is at 25. How does that compare to the 29 of Duggar?
I like Duggar better than those 2 guys and Cease. If you can afford the extra $2 or $3 or $5 in Felix's case. So yeah, give me Duggar and Cease. My pool on Yahoo is gonna be tighter than what it's gonna be on other sites.
All right, I'm just checking the old one-stop shopping. What do we call it? You call it the one-stop schedule?
One-stop shop.
The one-stop shop. So at 11, that would be in 10 minutes. You're going to get the NFL Yahoo Strategy Show. That will be with Sal Dietrich and Chris, the Bachelorette Rendon.
No, that's It's not the Yahoo specific show. It's just the last NFL strategy show.
Oh, yeah. The last NFL strategy. Thank you.
I believe it was presented by Yahoo. They did the Yahoo specific show yesterday, Nolan and Alex.
All right. Well, I've got Yahoo on the brain because I just registered for my 10 management fee free MLB contest, and I will be writing the free Yahoo $1 Million Baller article, which will be out shortly after lunch. I'm about a third of the way through that, but I already know the players I'm going to be talking about. It's just putting them into context for you, and it's going to be a fun week over there. Reminder, the $1 Million Baller is $20 to get in. This week, it is $150 max. They do not have CSV uploads. But if you've made it this far, I do want to give you a little tip, a little trick. If you type in their last name in the search bar, whoever is at the top of the list, you can hit enter and they'll jump into your lineup. It's a little easier than going to the mouse. And once you start doing that, you're going to wish all the other sites did that as well. So I do just want to put that out there. And then at 2 o'clock, on the contrary, the final NFL show before NFL Sunday, where we got 2 more shows, but you've got Chris Baggs hosting, Alex Osmo Baker, and then guest analyst Rich Rebar. And you guys all know Rich Rebar from his work, Lord Reeves on Twitter. You know him from Roto World, and he is with Warren Sharp's site now. But he is coming in to present his ideas versus Alex's ideas, and we will see. We got some good stuff last week with Travis Petty. You know him as Petty Theft when he was in the guest chair. And then we'll see who's out there for week 3. But that's going to be a fun show to check out as well. So we got you covered. No Live Before Lock MLB, but Jake and I will be around in Slack. And then, of course, we've got the deep dive article coming out shortly. And my dog is going crazy. So we're going to get on out of here. You can follow Jake at Jake Hari on Twitter. I am at Mlb Dfs. And, of course, it is Osmo_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.